Okay, so there's a giant gator just hanging in the water right there. His name is George the alligator. In this series, we're gonna meet volunteers who are reimagining service for our generation. Let's go meet the new volunteers. Welcome to New Orleans. The home of amazing jazz music, bold Creole flavors, and stunning historic architecture. New Orleans has so much history, but the future of the city is being threatened by coastal erosion and climate change. So this week, I'm gonna learn how Louisiana is coming together to protect and restore this coastline. We're gonna meet volunteers as young as 6 years old, visit a really impactful organization that was started by local college students, and hear how volunteer opportunities can progress into a career path. I think some got in my mouth.
What is this?
This is some secret gnat spray.
Victoria's Secret. Man.
Exactly. It's a Victoria's Secret perfume that, for some reason, helps to get all the bugs away from you.
Say less.
Are there a lot of alligators out here? Oh, that is an alligator. I've read a lot about how the eroding coastline is making New Orleans more and more vulnerable to hurricanes. So I wanted to go see the situation for myself. I cruised out to join a local group of students who are doing a service project planting mangroves along the coast.
Ready?
Woo! These mangroves help reinforce the coastal land, minimizing the effects of hurricanes and fostering growth in the area. As they grow, their complex root system will help keep sand and sediment right here, stopping erosion in its tracks. So what do you think will happen if we don't do stuff like this to protect the coastline?
All this will be gone, and then it'll start affecting us and our homes. I live here and my family lives here. So if we don't save our coastlines, then it's gonna start eating up our own Louisiana land. Anyone could just volunteer. It's more a factor of, do they understand why they're volunteering, so they can spread more awareness about the situation.
After spending time with locals, it was so clear to me that coastal erosion is a serious issue. But I left feeling so inspired after seeing volunteers fighting back to save the environment and the place they call home. The trees we planted together will grow here for years and years, continuing to protect the coast in a sustainable way.
Let's do.
I think the last time I had oysters was like 4 years ago.
And the string size?
As big as possible. Nice.
All right, Justin, here you go, man. Don't drop it.
Ready, guys?
Let's do
Cheers.
it. Cheers.
This one is huge. We're getting oysters today because for our next stop, we'll be volunteering at an organization that recycles oyster shells and uses them to restore the coastline. The Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana has made it their mission to bring together organizations and volunteers to create a thriving and sustainable Louisiana coastline for future generations. They're tackling this issue from all different angles, and some of their solutions are pretty unique. For example, today we're volunteering to help give old oyster shells a new life. We're going to be bagging up oyster shells to be used as recycled reefs that will also fortify the coast.
To help me understand this whole process, I talked to Ash, a student who's essentially getting paid to volunteer here through the AmeriCorps Vista program, something anyone can apply for.
So we're out here today filling these oyster sacks, and it really creates that storm surge protection. The sediment and everything gets locked up in those oyster shells, and we've seen like phenomenal results with like the survivability and just the effectiveness of the oyster reef and the planting together.
Nice.
Awesome, great job.
Yeah.
As somebody who grew up in the marshes and swamps, like I've seen them disappear in my lifetime, and I have a 6-year-old, and I really wanted her to experience the same things that I did growing up in those areas. I just decided it was time to get, my hands dirty again, and so I found the position with CRCL, and they were like, you're gonna be outside every single day, you're gonna be sweating a lot and stinky, and I'm like, sign me up. A lot of people will say like their job is like soul crushing. I want to say like my job is like soul restoring. I am definitely like the happiest I've been in a very long time.
So what brought you out here today?
So we're trying to address the land loss crisis and everything that is happening within Mississippi River Delta. So we're developing an app. We're trying to get more people to understand what the crisis is.
We saw this oyster shell opportunity, and so we were just like, it would be even more effective if we try to help with this issue personally, and so it would give us more perspective and exactly how it's all working.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that students can change the world?
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
I love being able to like bring my daughter out here and show her what I'm doing.
I feel bad about pollution because it's like destroying the world.
Yeah.
And it's making the earth upset.
We are the next generation. Like we are the ones that are going to be making the decisions very soon here, and we need to be as well informed and as well educated and as well versed in all of these topics as we possibly can be.
It doesn't just affect us, but also everyone around here, the environment, the communities, and also the ecosystem.
Please recycle your oyster shells, please, so we can make the earth feel better.
Okay, we've been talking a lot about coastal restoration, but did you know that this glass bottle can actually be turned into sand?
So it turns out that oysters aren't the only thing being recycled in really creative ways here in New Orleans. Today, I'm going to speak to volunteers and staff who started as volunteers at Glass Half Full.
This is so cool. I'm literally in front of a mountain of glass.
Glass Half Full was founded by 2 college students who realized that New Orleans didn't have any way to recycle their glass. So they decided to start a local recycling program on their own. All the glass they collect gets crushed and recycled into sand, which is then deposited along the coast to help fight erosion.
We try to be as transparent as possible about like our recycling process, because I feel like a lot of people, they don't know how recycling works. They're not sure if it's actually getting recycled or not, and it's easy to feel jaded. Basically, we fill sandbags, recycled burlap sandbags, with the sand, tie them up, we take them to the coast, and we actually build a wall out of those sandbags. And what that does is it stops the wave action from coming in. We can plant native grasses like bulrush behind it, and those grasses actually have enough time to take root because they're not just being constantly washed away. The sandbags are biodegrading, and that releases our sediment, and it mixes with the native sediment. In the span of like a year and a half, you look at the before and after pictures, and it's night and day. It's like no land,
Wow.
land.
Yeah.
This has since grown into a massive local effort and spawned a nonprofit wing called Glassroots. In only a few years, this group has changed the whole landscape of recycling in the area.
Being a Louisiana native, like I grew up with all of these issues kind of circulating in the back of my mind. So it was really cool to see someone my age actually doing something about these issues, kind of carving out a creative niche to really like do powerful work. I started volunteering at a couple of tabling events. I then made my way to starting as a part-time driver with Glass Half Full, and then I transitioned over to Glass Roots, which is the partner nonprofit where I'm now the program director.
I'm part of a conservation biology class at Tulane, and so usually we have a service learning requirement. It's a requirement, but I've already completed my service. I just really appreciate what they're doing here.
Nice.
It's a nice experience, so I came back for a second time.
Sorry,
in this
really loud. You guys gotta
So,
I'm from New Orleans, so a lot of this stuff I feel like is stuff that I should have known, especially with what people are doing to help the place where I live. And so just connecting to where you are is really important.
and do you think that young people can change the world?
Yes. Yes, they can. I'm a young person. I'm doing something right, I hope.
I really enjoy volunteering at Glass Half Full because it's a great way to meet local people who bring in their glass, but also to recycle glass and keep it out of landfills. There we go.
Okay, we did it.
Yeah.
Good job.
Hard work.
I think there's two ways to look at volunteering. There's kind of like the instrumental value that you're providing to a movement or to an issue in your area where you're saying, look, I have the resources, I have the capabilities, I have the capacity to go out and do something good for my community. But I also see volunteering as something that you do for yourself. There's kind of an intrinsic value. You know, I participated in a cypress tree planting last fall. I may have only planted like 10 trees that day. Like, I probably was not the most efficient volunteer, but I know that years from now, the trees that I planted are still gonna be there, and that's really rewarding to me.
Cheers to Cafe du Monde.
Yeah.
To New Orleans. That's fire.
I had some great food and met some inspiring volunteers here in New Orleans. I also learned all about Louisiana's coastal environment and the unique threats it faces, and the creative solutions that are being implemented by local volunteers. I think that climate change is one of the biggest issues that our generation faces, and it's inspiring to see so many different creative solutions to the problem happening right here in Louisiana. From planting mangrove trees, recycling oyster shells, turning glass into sand. It just shows that there's so many ways to find solutions to this problem. I realized that if you see a problem that needs a solution, you can take on that challenge. Sometimes the best solution is right under your nose. Local problems usually have local solutions. You just might have to get creative. I love seeing how all of the organizations work together because they have their own separate niches, but they're all united in wanting to change their environment for the better and restore and protect Louisiana's coastline. I feel like there's a lot of anxiety and doom and gloom when it comes to the impacts that climate change will have, because it seems like such a big issue. But there's so much that we can do to make a tangible difference. Like I've seen this week in New Orleans, if you get creative and you use the resources right around you, you can make a huge difference in this fight. If you're curious about ways to get involved, definitely check out the description for ways that you can get involved in your community. Is that barbecue I smell? You're gonna have to check out the next episode of The New Volunteers to find out where my road trip brought me next. Thanks to the Allstate Foundation for fueling this series. It's just one of the ways they're working to empower youth to serve and improve their communities.